Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. We are finally here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stage Left, the podcast by musicians for music lovers. I am so excited by some of the content that this platform is going to provide and to introduce you to some of the hottest and finest creative talent here in the UK and even further afield. Now, the reality is I'm just real blessed to have friends in high places. And today, for our first episode, we are coming in hot with none other than Izzy Chase. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise. You know I had to come ready for you, you see.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes. We have said, Izzy, how are you doing, my sister?
Oh, I am grand. Thank you so much, Otty. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for being our first ever guest on this exciting new platform.
Woo!
That's
I'm very honored.
That's going to be your biggest accolade. You know, you never know.
Hey, I am honored.
Number
Oh, yeah.
one.
Number
Izzy, I
one.
want to jump straight into this because we have lots to talk about, lots to share with our guests. And I want to begin with something that we're going to do with every guest on every episode, and that's called the 60-second mic drop. So what it is, normally, of course, as musicians, we're very humble people. You know what I mean? We don't like name dropping all the things that we've done, but this is the moment for you not to be shy. I need you to name drop and let us know as many names as you can remember of people you've worked with, sessions you've done, so that all the people listening know exactly why they should be taking you so seriously.
Oof.
Come on.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So as my 60 seconds have started, yeah?
Let's go. Come on. If you need more, we'll figure something out.
All right. Okay. All right. So I am a backing vocalist and session vocalist. I currently sing with Dua Lipa, an incredible producer called Trevor Horn. I've worked with Seal. I've worked with Beverly Knight, Rod Stewart, Ministry of Sound. I've worked with Kim Wilde, holding up the rock pop corner over there. Wow, just a lot. Craig David. I've jumped in on some Rick Astley stuff.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
man.
I think the mic is well and truly dropped right now. We can leave right now. So, ladies and
That's
gentlemen,
so
if
weird.
you
Yeah.
didn't think that you needed to hear what's going to come already, now I think you know why you need to listen to Izzy Chase, because she's got the resume. But Izzy, clearly you're extremely accomplished in what you've done. Just to let us know a little bit more about where it all started, because I know it was not overnight, of course. So what's your music background? Tell us.
Yeah, it's not overnight actually, and that's a really good thing to point out to people because it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of faith, I think, and a lot of vision and a lot of focus. And I didn't know I wanted to do backing vocals or session vocals really until I went to uni, but I knew I always wanted to sing. So my background actually was, with a lot of people at music at home and learning piano and having singing lessons, etc., etc. But it wasn't until I started doing kind of covers gigs in venues and wedding bands and things and decided I really wanted to study properly music. So I came to London and studied a contemporary music degree. And when I was at that university, I discovered my love for harmony, for vocal blend, for working as a team, for creating that kind of real, that kind of corner of music that gave me a lot of fulfillment. So from there, I decided that's what I was going to pursue. So from that point on, I just started kind of doing a lot of vocal arrangements, offering to do backing vocals for other people, until I started being able to, cultivate it as a profession and getting paid for it properly. But yeah, it was definitely a journey, and it took me a while to figure out exactly where my niche was, you know. So
Well,
yeah.
even now, I couldn't actually tell you what your niche is, because I mean we met on the function scene, but I know that since then you have, as you've alluded to, you've been a backing vocalist, you've been a vocal arranger, you have been a session singer, you've been a feature vocalist, you've been a band manager, you've been a lecturer, so many different things that you've done since then. So all this growth, was it organic or was it very much planned?
That's a really good question. I think for me, organic. I
Mm.
sort of, as I say, I knew I wanted to sing. I found something that worked. I tried that on. And then I discovered I wanted to learn, and so I tried that on. And then from there, I discovered I loved backing vocals. None of it was planned until after I finished university, and then I started again, still dipping my toe into different things like the vocal arranging and what
Yeah,
have you. But it all happened because I found a passion within it
yeah.
naturally, and then just kind of expanded on those particular passions.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And have you found it useful to have so many different skills during this pandemic season in particular?
Yeah, this is
Mhm.
the music industry.
Yeah, it's hot out here, yo.
Give it a little second, let's just give it some love
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we kind of have to, as a community of people, have to love our own industry at this point, right? We have to love ourselves and each other's kind of talents because it's tough times. Yeah. So 100%, I think it's been useful because most of my work was live for sure. So in terms of that dropping, the same as everybody else in the pandemic, that has definitely affected me. However, being able to be someone who can what's the word, how do we say it, competent.
Don't
I'm
hurt.
incompetent about saying this word. Can manage to do studio work in other people's studios, set up a studio at home. I've got
Yeah,
that all sorted. And have that skill set has been a lifesaver because it means I can continue to still work in some form, regardless of the live work sort of disappearing.
that's great. So
Yeah, so
ultimately, the lockdown has treated you okay.
it's treated me okay,
Mm,
yeah, in a sense. I mean, I miss being out on the road. I miss
mm,
being in rehearsals. I miss having an audience and being
mm.
able to kind of exchange energies with human beings,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
used to, and that's something that has not been okay for me for
mm,
sure. Um, but I'm finding ways around it, as you say, like doing things online, having these
yeah,
conversations with like this is amazing, this
yeah,
platform here,
yeah.
and just we're just having to kind of get by, if that
That's
makes
right.
sense.
But it's important to recognize that and do those things, as you say, because speaking to so many of our friends in the industry, creators right now are many of them are struggling, and mentally, and obviously mental health is such a big topic these days,
Mm,
and it's for reasons like this. Most creators were quite used to being social, going out, meeting people, and being very present. And so, in this situation where for such an extended period of time you've kind of been confined to a space, many
yeah.
people have found it challenging. Not to mention, of course, the financial side, just kind of trying to figure out what's your identity in again. Because if you're, as you say, you're used to being on stage and doing live stuff, but that's taken. What happens now? So for you, like, how have you been able to take care of your mental health? How have you felt about even the government response to this whole situation?
Mm. Well, do you know what? I think I count myself lucky because when we went into the kind of strictest part of lockdown, and
Mm,
that's when most people got all of their work wiped, certainly for a few months, right?
yeah,
Once I kind of got over the blow of that and just tried to use forms of meditation, yoga, to kind of and gratitude exercises. So I can't
mm,
express
all right,
enough how these things can help because it's very easy to continuously think about all the things that we've lost or all of the things that are going on around us, the people that are struggling, and it's more difficult and less in our habit, if you like, to wake up each day and think, I've got a roof over my head, I've got all of my limbs,
yeah,
I've got, I don't know, whatever you have, whatever person you have, and think about them and just resonate with those things has been really
yeah,
helpful for me.
that's good.
Um, and then so yeah, things like that I've been doing for months, and I space time out every single day for those things,
That's
no matter
great.
what, no matter
No,
what.
it's important. It's important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny for me as a Christian as well. We do similar things, in terms of, in fact, we have this song, a famous song, "Count Your Blessings," which a lot of people sing at these times, and it's so good to kind of just channel your brain again towards. Okay, hold on, what's actually good? It says, "Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your
Wow.
blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and you'll be surprised just what the Lord has done." So we count our blessings.
Yeah.
So give me three things that you've been grateful for during this period.
Oh, three things I've been grateful for. See, I do this exercise every morning, but I'll just think of it as an overview. I've been
Mhm.
grateful to have somewhere to live.
Yep.
I've been grateful to have friends and family,
Yeah.
and I've been grateful to have the kind of mind that will allow me to try and think outside of our current restrictions,
Yeah.
thinking outside the box, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Tell me this, do you think that we as musicians get the respect we deserve from outside the industry?
Ooh.
Because I don't know, I just find that some people think what we do is like a glorified hobby or something like that a lot of
I
the time, and they
know.
don't fully appreciate. And I guess it's hard to fully appreciate what we do if you're not in it, and in terms of the amount of work that it is, how physically grueling it can be. But yeah, do you think we get that respect?
Do you know what? I think I'm gonna be really on the fence here. I'm gonna say yes and no.
Okay.
And I think because I think some people definitely don't, and you always get that question of, oh, so you do this for a living? This is your
Yeah.
full-time.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Um, but I also have stumbled across many people who aren't in the industry that fully respect it, are in awe of it,
Yeah.
and fully understand it. So I think there's across the board. And to be honest, Dottie, just to kind of again sort of play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I think a lot of people are feeling that we're not respected, and in certain terms, in terms of being supported financially, and that I can fully understand. I
Yeah.
don't think we're being supported or represented very well at all.
Yeah.
However, just to play devil's advocate, I think there's been a lot of other industries that
Mhm.
we perhaps, people haven't recognized as being as important as they are, as well. You think about the cleaners, the NHS staff, that all of a sudden was like, these are actually the most important
Mhm.
jobs right now.
Yeah.
If we didn't have these, boy, and I think, to be honest, as a human race, we can be a little bit ignorant of a lot of different types of industry and people and work and stuff. So yes and no, and I think it's just being mindful that everyone has a version of this
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. I think that's
In
a very healthy perspective. To No,
some-
but it's true. I agree with you. I agree with you. But no more doom and gloom. Let's get into a little bit more about your work as a backing vocalist in particular. I
Mhm.
know that obviously just before lockdown, you were right in the middle of prepping for the Dua Lipa tour, which
Yeah.
is pretty incredible. She's kind of like
Yeah.
arguably the biggest pop artist around right now. So I mean, that's major. Tell me, how did that opportunity come about, firstly?
So that opportunity came up. So I did a little bit of work for her at the end of last year, and that was through an incredible team who I'd done a little bit of work for before with another one of their artists, Jax Jones,
Yes.
and prior to that, I'd worked with one of those team members through some Trevor Horn stuff. So there'd been kind of like an ongoing link of
Very true.
having worked with different people that end up, kind of putting you in a position where you might get thought of,
Yeah.
if suitable for them. So that's kind of how that came about. And then having done that bit of work, and then they were putting the tour together, they then approached me and asked me to sort of join the team, that because they were expanding their team for this particular campaign.
Okay. Was
Yeah,
it
so
something
that's
you had to audition for, or they already knew what you could do and were just like, look, are you available?
this
Come on board.
this particular one. I didn't have to audition. No, they asked, which is obviously awesome and
Yeah.
and lovely. But I guess you could think of it as I auditioned in a way because I was working in a with different people
Yeah,
and
that's right.
on other jobs, so.
Indeed. That's so
But
note to every aspiring musician out there. Anything you do is an audition for something. I'm telling you, it's a small
yeah,
industry. You do
yeah,
well somewhere, people will
it
remember
is
you and pass your name on. So everything you do is an audition.
exactly.
But now what I'm intrigued by, take me behind the curtain a little bit with regards to the levels when it comes to the production for putting something that big, like a world tour like that together. What does that look like? What happens?
In the production side of things, like
Yeah.
behind the scenes. Well, I mean, I still get kind of blown away by this stuff as well, to be honest. Like every time we go to rehearsals, we learn something new about what's being
Yeah.
put together, or you see how something's being created. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And that's what I think is the wonderful thing about our industry. There's always something that's going to kind of make you go, wow, I love this, or wow, I love this. Every job you do, big, small, whatever. So
Mm.
it's been incredible. But in terms of musically with the band, we were um, kept quite just we were just doing music. We hadn't done anything really with dancers until right at the very end, before we had to sort of shut up shop.
Sure.
And we certainly hadn't gone into production yet, where we could see how the stage was being set up. We
Mm.
knew all of that was happening elsewhere,
Yeah.
but we were kind of micro managing our music, the core of the music, the core of the sound,
Mm.
as a collective. And that is just a case of, usually BVs will be sort of locked in a little room together, working out harmonies, and
Yeah.
sort of then showcasing what we've done and making sure the MD is happy, and then collaborating then with the band together, locking that in, rehearsing over and over again, changing things, moving things
Yeah.
around, running it. And all the time, all of the other production stuff is going on in other rooms, in other studios, in other countries often. So it's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. So tell me, when you're putting it all together and arranging the music of it, especially with the BVs and the harmonies, are you just trying to do verbatim what's on the record, or do you guys get a chance to organically create and be like, oh, actually, this might sound nice here, and so on and so forth?
That's also a really good question, because do you know what? It changes from gig to gig and artist to artist. So I've had to learn how to be flexible with that.
Mm.
And, sometimes, so initially, when you first take on a job and perhaps you haven't worked with this artist before, you'll get given maybe just the original tracks,
Yeah.
and I would spend time really just initially just getting to know just the track, so get to know the music, and then starting to kind of work out where the harmonies are, what they are, so that I can kind of absorb that information.
Yeah.
So then already by the time you've gotten into the rehearsal, you've got a level of knowledge of how this music works, how it's constructed, how it's
Yeah.
supposed to feel.
Yeah.
And then you might be asked at certain points, okay, guys, this particular song, actually, we're going to make it a bit more vocal heavy. So, and then we would need to adapt. Okay, we'd add certain things here,
Mhm.
maybe add a bit more weight of the vocal here, or you'd start changing the arrangement at that point. But initially, always learning what's kind of flat and on the record
Yeah.
is super
That's
important.
not a point. That's great. Okay. Okay, but what other touring have you done then? And can you tell us like some of the best things about the touring life, or what some of the hardest things perhaps may have been?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I've toured with, as I say, Trevor Horn. It was one of my favourites from last year, actually. And if you don't know who Trevor Horn is, I mean,
Mm.
you would have heard his music. If you don't know his name, you know
Yeah.
his music,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
He's an incredible producer from the 80s, who
Yeah.
wrote and produced things like Video Killed the Radio Star from the
Yeah.
Buggles,
Yeah.
Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Grace Jones is one of his artists. Seal is one of his artists. He produced the music from Coyote Ugly, the film.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like this kind of household name of
Yeah.
producer, who also does bass playing and singing and what have you. And he's just been an incredible person to work with for the last few years. And last year we did a UK tour. So that was great. And it's just, I think one of the best things about touring for me is being able to continuously have one hat on, and you just
Mm.
kind of get into that seat, and that's where you are for a little while,
Yeah.
because you've created a team,
Mm.
you've collectively cultivated an energy, regardless of the music, and then within the music, and you get to go and just be in that for a certain period of time, whether it's a week, whether it's 6 months, and that's what I really love, that, because you
Mm.
get to just fully be yourself and play your role in that particular team, and you're not sort of running from day to day, putting
Yeah.
different hats on, which, as a session vocalist or a vocalist in general,
Yeah.
you're doing all the time. You know what this is like, Otty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Um,
so that's one of the things I love about touring. Difficult things about touring are being away from anything else. You
Mm,
know, if you're a family man, taking time away from your wife and kids or husband or whatever you've got going on can be tricky for a lot of people. Um, and you sort of feel sometimes like your feet aren't quite on the ground.
mm,
Like you when you have a home and you have like a friendship group and you have
yeah,
things that you do to unwind in your own space that that we're often blessed with, you sort of lose those things, and you're often in hotels, you're on buses,
yeah.
and you lose that sense of grounding a little bit sometimes, especially if you then start introducing different time zones and all that kind of stuff. That
Mm,
I think is one of the toughest things about being on the road.
okay.
Mm.
So, but you know what? Still, from the outside in, many people think that what you do is so glamorous. To be on tour with this artist, see all of these different countries. What are some of the myths that maybe people don't understand about touring?
Oh, do you know what? Um, I mean, it's great. I mean, it is glamorous. There's a load of glamour in this industry. It's wicked.
Mm,
You
yeah,
dress up and you've got these fabulous venues,
yeah.
and then one venue you turn up at and it's just dirty and horrible, and to get you've got your slippers on and you've got to go and find a loo to change in, but the loo's not clean, and then you've got to share one little bus toilet for a long road all night, and
Yeah.
you're shoved in there with loads of ladies. You're going to know what I mean here. You're shoved on a tour bus with loads of men who know how to use the
Hey,
loo
don't hate on the
properly.
men now. Don't hate on the men. Come on. Sometimes it's you ladies.
Sorry,
Sometimes, let's be real.
giving you
Yeah.
you asked my experience, my personal experience. So yeah, like that, it's a real kind of opposite ends of the scale with this sort
Yeah.
of stuff, and it's you turn up every day not knowing quite how it's going to roll and where
Yeah.
you're going to be, and you get to a point sometimes where certain venues, so
Yeah.
you can afford to certain places, and you're like, oh
Okay.
yes,
We're going
exactly.
to. That's nice. That's
So
nice.
I think it is glamorous and it is fun,
Mm,
absolutely. But you rarely get much of your own time and space,
mm,
and yeah, you're constantly kind of in a bit of a bubble, just having to go from place to place, and that
mm.
can be tough.
When you're with these, or when you're on these long tours, how close do you get to the actual main artists, if at all?
Again, I think it depends on the artist and how it's kind of set up.
Mm,
Um, I have to say, I've actually never worked with someone that I haven't liked.
mm.
I've never had one of those kind of horror
Yeah.
tour stories where people have just been desperately unhappy and can't wait
Yeah.
to go home because they're
Yeah.
just isolated and the artist is horrible or the management is horrible. I just don't. I feel very lucky, touch wood,
Yeah.
to have not really experienced that. And most of the artists that I've worked with, I can probably consider as friends in some way, shape or form
Mm,
moving forward. So
that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, but I mean they need their own space.
Of course.
They have a big job on their shoulders, and
Mhm.
they have to carry that around. And often their schedules are even crazier than ours because they're
Mm.
fitting in radio interviews and public appearances and this and that. So it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. It's a lot of time for them.
All right. Now, online somewhere, I happened to stumble across a clip of you singing "I'm Horny" with with Ministry of Sound. It was insane. It was insane. I
Oh,
absolutely loved it. It looked like it was so much fun.
yeah.
But tell me, who was some the favorite artists that you've had to work with, and why?
Oh, wow. My favorite artists.
Yeah.
Um, do you know what? I really hold a very warm piece of my heart for the Kim Wilde crew
Okay.
because so Kim is just one of those incredibly warm and funny and personable artists. She's been around for years in this industry. She knows how it all works.
Mm,
She's kind of got she's done it all, and when you have that with an artist who cares about their family and they care about their friends, you just kind of get to just relax. When you're on stage,
yeah.
it's just it's all go. There's no pressure. It's just you've done the work. Just go out there and have a great time. And she
Yeah.
she will always really she'll keep you on your toes on stage because you'll be, as a BV, you're actually free roaming, so you don't have to stay behind your mic stand. You can go down to the
Nice.
front and
Okay.
rock
We
out a
like
little
that.
bit.
We like
And
that.
she'll come and just keep you on your toes. She'll come and grab a scarf and just wrap it around your neck or pop a hat on your head, or you never know what's going to happen with her. And I really, yeah, I think she's pretty up there actually as one of my favorite artists I've ever worked with because it was always just so fun.
That's nice.
Never doom and gloom. Yeah.
That's nice. All right. Well, I want to dig a little deeper still into the role of you as a backing vocalist.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, because I think many people don't realize how big a skill that is, and that it's so much more than just being able to sing. But some people describe it as that role, which is like you're 6 feet from stardom. But how do you feel about the role of a backing vocalist? What's your view of it?
Mm. See, I mean, first of all, that film is incredible. So anyone who
Yeah.
hasn't seen it, I recommend going and seeing it or getting it. It's I chose being a backing vocalist because I love that role.
Yeah.
I see the role as a supportive role as
Yeah.
well as an important role.
Yeah.
So without backing vocals on a lot of songs, I mean, I'm not obviously depending on the style of music, but you lose that whole extra layer of kind of humanness. Our voices are so human and everyone's is so different. You get this incredible lift when you start adding harmony
Yeah.
and warmth and extra power and extra energy. And I love being part of that team. I love, as you say, you saw the horny clip from that was Ministry of Sound actually,
Yep.
which we have a split role. So we do a couple of solos like that one, as well as BVs for other singers. So it's a nice, it's a sort of a double hat kind of gig. But so I love to be able to sing out and take a lead role in certain projects. But I don't ever envy being an artist, or I've never had that kind of drive myself to be writing and at the front. So for me, this is the perfect place to be. I get to do what I love. I get to be part of a team. I know how important it is.
Yes.
And how much it supports a singer. As a backing vocalist, for a lead vocalist, you're quite often asked to make sure that you're a support system rather than just a voice. My energy, my facial expressions, my kind of what I will give to that artist is often like a cushion. They want to feel like they've got their back. Someone's got their back, and I think as a backing vocalist, it's quite easy for you to take on that role, and necessary actually.
Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it, and it kind of shows the depth to that role that there is. As I say, it's a lot more than just opening your mouth and singing some notes. But let's have a game. It's time for a bit of a game, Izzy. Let's
no.
Let's relax. Come on. I'm gonna test you now. Okay, so what I want to try and do is well-known game, song association or word association, whichever one you want to use, where I am simply gonna give you one word, and then I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to give me a song with that word in it. And I'm going to challenge you to sing the song as well. Not just name the song. You got to sing a part of the song with that word in it. Are you ready? I'm dropping you in it. Come on, but I know
you.
Okay. Can we do this?
Yeah.
All right. Don't look so sad. Come on. All right. First word. Something. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
There is something in the air. No. Isn't there a word of something in there?
No, that's I can feel it calling in the air tonight. I can feel it calling in the air tonight.
All right, so that's a fail. Okay, -1 point.
-1 point. Dearie me. All right, Mr. Chase. No probs. We got time to make it up. All right. So next word. Left.
To the left, to the left.
There you go. Got Queen B in there. We'll give you that one. Okay, 1-1. Round 3. Break. 7, 6, 5.
Just another breakup song.
Okay.
That's a little tune. Yeah.
2-1, you're in the lead. Okay, we're gonna do is a best of five. So you get the next one right, you won the game. All right, pressure's on. Summer.
Mm.
7,
Um,
6,
what's that song?
4.
Boys of Summer. What is the Boys of Summer? I can't remember the melody.
What? I don't even know what that song is.
You know, it's like an old like 80s tune or something.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
the
thought you were
melody.
gonna go with the "When I Met You in the Summer."
Oh, tune,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's what I thought you were going with. But hey,
Summer of love.
that's more than 10 seconds. 2-2. So it's the deciding round. Deciding round to see
Right,
if
yeah, yeah.
Chase can win our first game of song association. And the word is feel.
I mean, I used the one that we used first of all. You know what I mean? That's all I can hear now is I can feel it. Is the cheating? You gave me an answer.
Easy. That's sneaky. That's sneaky. I was waiting to hear some Whitney. You make me feel.
Oh, no, that's Aretha, babe.
Aretha, my bad. Sorry, Aretha. That's what I was
You
waiting for.
made me feel. Yes,
You
that would have been
know?
a good. There's so many. I was thinking of that Mace tune as well.
Oh,
Um,
which one is that?
feel so good.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Bad,
remember
bad,
it.
bad, bad boy. You make me feel so good. That
You
would
know,
have
you make me feel so good. You make me feel so
always in with the BVs. I see you.
good. Yeah.
I see you. Now, Izzy, you've not complimented me on this very fly jacket I'm wearing today. I hope you've
I
noticed.
think it's a very fly jacket. I also really like how you've color coordinated in the
Hey,
room.
this is
Look
it.
at this.
You
Look,
know,
white t-shirt, white walls. We've got a nice little red jacket and this kind of lovely record that's going on behind. I see what you're doing here,
we're
babe.
working it. We're working it. I thought, for the first episode, I gotta wear the
Yeah.
outfit that's in the flyer. You know what I mean? So that people
So,
know
yeah,
it is me
yeah.
and that it
It's
wasn't rented stuff. So I own it. But yeah, thank you anyway. So let's move on a little bit. I wanna. You've touched on the fact that you never had really a desire to be an artist in your own right, but
yeah.
nonetheless, you've had a number of other interests and would still come under the umbrella of music. So can you just take us through some of the ventures that you're doing outside of the session scene, so to speak?
Okay. So in terms of non-backing vocals and non-session vocals, yeah. So actually I had a feature vocal with an amazing artist called La Speranza, which was last year. Years are kind of rolling into one right now because I don't know 2020 is about, so forgive me if it was the year before.
Yeah.
But La Speranza, we did a single called It Should Have Been You,
Okay.
and it's just incredible. It's an album actually full of different feature singers, so check it out. You get some real treats on there. And that actually ended up getting released as a single and did really well, kind of worldwide actually. I think it was number one in the Grenada Soul chart or something for a while, and
You
I don't
mean
know,
you're
yeah.
number one in the country somewhere in the
Yeah,
world?
literally. Yeah,
Go,
yeah.
girl.
Yeah. And then Trevor Nelson played it on Radio 2, which was wicked. So
Hey, all
yeah, we
right.
had
Next time we go out, drinks on you, my sister.
some. Yeah, so occasionally I dip my toe into the kind of lead vocal
Yeah,
side of things, and I've done a couple of those recently as well. So hopefully there'll be some stuff coming out.
that sounds good.
Yeah, but also and you mentioned this earlier. I'm a band manager, so I actually came from the cover scene before I got into the kind of session world, if you like. And I created a band called Formation, which is a corporate and wedding band, if you like,
Yeah,
a collective of us, and the band is up to 12 people, so that can be a bit of a mad, big
yeah.
stage at times. And yeah, it's just kind of a collective of some amazing musicians who I'm lucky enough to call my friends, and we put together this group that can go and do these amazing events and what have you. I actually really like the balance of it. The thing is with the covers world, if you like, and the function scene is actually we get to go and sing and perform some of our favorite tunes.
Yeah.
We get to jump around a stage with a
Yep.
bunch of your mates, and
Yep.
we often get to choose, especially if you own the band, like I own mine. Otty, I know you own yours.
Yes,
Big
sir.
up the Sound House crew. Um,
Indeed.
you know,
Sound
you
House
get
man in the
kind of
building.
have some, you,
Come
you
on.
have some creative control, so we can
Mm,
kind of go, oh, I want to put this Evans track in or whatever because it's
yeah,
wicked, and you get
yeah,
to go and sing that. And I think that gets underestimated sometimes,
yeah,
and we create these amazing medleys, and we just get to have a lot of fun.
yeah.
Um, and in the session world, sometimes you're a little bit more restricted. You're kind of doing what you need to do, and so there's a real um, I don't know. There's a balance for me that I like. I like doing both.
Likewise, no, and I think it's very good to do the two. I think too much of anything often is never great, but once you have that balance, it's good. And when you are on those gigs where you perhaps don't have all the creative control in the world, what are some of the least favorite songs of yours to sing? Because you know we all have them.
Yeah. Oh man. There's a few songs that I've just refused to ever sing.
Oh, I
I think
understand.
a few songs that I was like, nah, I'm never gonna sing them.
Mm.
Uh, so I think what have I never sung that I said I'd never sing? I think I Will Survive. I've managed to get away with never singing that. I've managed to get away with never singing "It's Raining Men" or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's a few songs I just flat refuse. Oh, sorry.
yep, good. I'll just take
But the
you.
things that creep up, I mean, there's a few classics. There's the good old, and I love her to bits, Amy Winehouse's version of Valerie.
Mhm. Just a little, I think it's what you would call overplayed. That's all.
It's a little overplayed.
Yeah.
And again, Stevie Wonder's Superstition.
Yeah. You see, but you see, this is what is nice now because I try and challenge my guys at least that let's find new ways to sing the song. Because if we're gonna have to do it,
There
we're
you
gonna have
go.
to find a way that it stays interesting for us rather
Yeah,
than the same week in, week
you
out.
do.
So it still does allow for some creativity sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the two that kind of spring to mind
Yeah.
immediately for me, I have to
Fair enough.
say.
Fair enough. But hey, people will often ask, I'm sure they ask you, like, what's the best advice you can give to aspiring musicians and things like that? And you get a whole range of advice, some which is good, some which is questionable. But I feel like you are actually the person to ask that question to because of your range of experience. And I know, of course, you're working on maybe putting some information together in future, which is going to kind of be a support to anyone who's looking to get into the industry. Um, so just share with us a little bit about how you think about what you think people's approach to taking on this juggernaut that is the music industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, you've got to know that it's 100% what you want to do,
Yeah.
and it's a passion that you're happy to pursue.
Mm.
Because if you're kind of half in it, it doesn't work as well. This is not just what we do for a living, it's kind of who we are as people. It's in our genes, it's in our makeup. So I think first of all, just know that you definitely want a music career. And that's not to say, like me, you have to know exactly how that's going to shape up.
Mm.
You might have a really specific goal from quite early on, but you might not. And both of those things are fine as long as you know that your passion is in that direction. And you
Yeah.
might open a door and go, oh my God, I love this. And
Mm.
you just start doing more of that. Um, but I think my personal experience was that I needed to gather up quite a lot of different skills in order to be able to do this. I needed to have a really good training of my ear for harmony, and
Yeah.
that involved, learning a bit of keys, learning some theory, learning how
Mm.
to sight read a little bit, learning to listen to other people and their voices and their opinions. For me, I needed to gather up a lot of things so
Yeah.
I could choose then what I wanted to keep and what I didn't.
Yeah.
Um, some people might be so specific on their artistry that that's unimportant. So just kind of keep listening to yourself and keep realigning yourself with what's important to you and what you specifically need.
Yeah.
That's a continuous thing through the entirety of your career,
Yeah.
I think,
Okay.
because stuff changes all the time and different
Yeah.
doors open. And if you kind of keep having your head down and you don't see all these amazing things that could come up,
Mm.
I think that could be
Okay.
a sad thing to let stuff go by. What else? I think uh, kind of being humble, being generally a nice person.
Yeah, it helps.
Everyone, it helps.
Yep.
Nobody wants to work with difficult people.
Mhm.
I don't hire people who are good at their jobs
Yeah,
but are difficult to work with.
yeah,
Never. Never, ever, ever. Because they'll get to a point where you've got to stay at the top of your game. You've got to keep learning.
yeah,
You can't just be like, oh, I can sing now. That's enough.
yeah,
No, keep retraining,
yeah,
keep having lessons, learn new
mhm,
skills, learn different ways of how your voice works. And actually, as we age, our voices change anyway. So, work out the bits that you've sort of neglected for a while. Do
mhm,
all of that stuff. Keep on top of your game continuously. But beyond that, once you're at a certain level of skill, it becomes about how you can adapt, how you work with people, how you gel, what your attitude is like.
mhm.
Um, all of those things are really important to me. Also, musicians, by the way, if there's musicians listening to this, I often hire people that can also sing as well as play because, and I don't mean like an amazing lead vocal. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
even just some simple backing vocals is a really
yeah,
hireable skill.
yeah.
So just try and kind of get a bunch of, tools in your belt, I suppose.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. All right. Now, I know sometimes we've spoken in the past and we've talked about the things that are important to us when we're taking a gig or not taking it. And you kind of said that there are three things that you always consider when making a
Yeah.
decision. Can you just share with us what are those three things?
Yeah, okay. So I've had this rule now that I got from someone else, and I feel awful because I've clearly stolen it from someone and probably changed it, and I never remember who it was, so they never get credited, and I tell it to everyone. But yeah, I like to consider there's like a triangle,
Yeah.
the music,
Yep.
the money,
Hmm.
and the people.
Yes.
So if you can find a gig that
Yeah.
you're satisfied with all three of those things,
Yeah.
you've hit the jackpot,
Mhm.
the hat trick, if you like, right?
Yep.
And because if I can go and sing music that is just wicked,
Yeah.
my soul is fulfilled. If I'm with people that I absolutely adore and they're just wicked, my soul is fulfilled. And if I can get paid good money for it,
Yep.
my pocket is fulfilled. Do you know what I mean?
Indeed.
That's the holy trilogy for
Indeed.
me.
Come
Like,
on.
absolutely. And listen, that's great. That doesn't always happen. Quite often you get two of those things and you
Mm.
might have to sort of agree to not, sometimes you might take a gig, you're with your mates, it's not really your vibe of music, but it pays well.
Yeah.
Okay, I might still take that gig.
Yeah.
Or you might take a gig that's free or like 50 quid in a bar, but you're with wicked people playing the most amazing music.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to take that gig.
Yeah.
And I think if you can find a balance of all of those things
Yeah.
all the time, you'll be all right. And I think sometimes personally, if I've gone for a long stage of time with at least one of those things missing,
Yeah.
I can literally, I know my energy will start to be lower.
Got you.
If I'm not surrounded by good music for quite a long period of
Mhm.
time and I'm having to
Yeah.
sing songs that I just don't resonate with me, or
Yeah.
but I'm earning good money, it's like, okay, cool, but it's just, you will sort to start to kind of deplete, I think. So finding a balance of those three, and if you can get all three on one gig,
You're working. Tell
you
me though,
work.
for you, can you put those three in priority order for you, or do you find that they're interchangeable?
Yeah, they're interchangeable. That's why I chose them, because I think they are literally like the three sides of a triangle. They're completely
Yeah.
equal for me. And well, that would depend on the triangle, but let's not get mathematical about this.
Please don't, because I hate maths.
Okay. Just 1 second. Yeah, no, they're all important to me, but the most important thing is there's a balance.
Yeah.
You know, there's a balance. I want to feel comfortable financially.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a millionaire, Otty. I mean, it would be nice, but it's not one of my number one goals in life. It
Yeah.
isn't. I think happiness is one of my number one goals in life.
That's a good
And
goal.
these three things as a collective tend to give me joy. So,
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're coming slowly to the end of this little segment.
no.
But before I even think of letting you go, we want to do a quick game. It's like a quick fire round. This is an easier one though, I promise. You'll like this one. Although it requires decisiveness. That's all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Indeed.
Something I'm working on.
I will give you two options, and you just need to tell me which one is the more important one for you. But you
Oh,
need to like respond with,
wow.
like I say, hot or cold. I prefer hot.
Mhm.
Yes, that's it. No explanation. Just give me that thing.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Melody or harmony?
Harmony.
Beat or lyrics?
Beat.
Festival or intimate gig?
Oof. Oh, festival.
Okay.
Oh, that's that. I had to choose, but I didn't want to choose.
Gigzania or sandwiches?
I actually like exactly. I like it. I like it.
Which one? Gigzania?
Yeah, yeah. I'm a fan.
Goodness me.
But
All right.
that's the hot and the cold thing for me. I love hot food.
Likewise. I agree with that. I agree with that. And
Yeah.
for those who don't know, Gigzania, we call it Gigzania because with many gigs that you get on, the easy food for the caterers to provide you is lasagna. So we are very used to going from gig to gig and always being fed lasagna, which is why it's now called Gigzania. Um, all right. Uh,
Tip, inside information.
indeed. Function or session?
Session.
Okay. And this is kind of what we touched on already now. Better pay or better gig?
um, Better gig.
I like it. It's a lady of the
Mm,
heart. So
mm.
it matters. All right, last one. Otis or your partner?
Ah! You are a cruel man. You know that. You're a cruel man.
Oh,
Oh, Otty.
gotta choose. Gotta choose.
No, I won't. I won't choose. You can't
Hey,
make me. You
that's
can't
not the
make me.
game.
All right, I'll choose my partner.
hmm Tell him who Otis is.
Otis is my little dog. Somewhere asleep elsewhere. It would take me a minute to find him. He's probably found a cushion somewhere that he's quite happy on. But yeah, Otis is my dog.
No props. So you
You're
prefer
a cruel man.
your partner to Otis. Goodness me. Mm.
You did that. You did that. I
I
tell him. You wait till I
just
tell
I
him.
just showed yourself to yourself. That's all.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay, then is tell me what inspires you or what has inspired you.
Ooh, what inspires me? I find inspiration in lots of different things. I
Yeah.
think I initially was inspired by people's the sound of people's passions in their voices. So you know when you get that kind of feeling where someone opens their mouth and sings and you get those goosebumps
Yeah.
and you just think, how can someone's voice
Yeah.
and expression
Yeah.
do that to you? Celine Dion does that to me every time
Mm.
she opens her mouth. She does that to me.
Mm.
Um, and I think to keep myself in music, I keep listening and waiting to get that feeling. So
Yeah.
that keeps me inspired. And then beyond that, I think I've actually learned that I get inspired by other people finding joy. So, um, so being able to kind of offer my experience, any
Yeah.
kind of help that someone can find their passion
Yeah.
and follow their dreams.
Yeah.
Also, I find that quite inspiring. You
Awesome.
know, kind of, yeah.
Aw.
Aw.
You're a kind soul, a good soul. I like it. I like it. Now, this, I mean, from everything you've told us, is so clear that yes, you've had an amazing career to date, and it seems like everything has gone so well. But can you take us or tell us perhaps any disappointments that you've had on the way? Because I know that usually it's not quite as plain sailing
Yeah,
as
man.
it seems.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a really good point to have because I think sometimes with these, kind of times where I've put myself in these situations where I'm trying to inspire people, it's very easy to just say, do this, and keep
Mm,
dreaming of that. And that is absolutely relevant.
yeah,
But I think it's what you're saying here is it's actually really important to know that there are many hurdles
yeah,
and things along the way
yeah.
that you've got to kind of be prepared for. I think for me, I've always struggled with auditions. In fact, I think I've only ever gotten one audition I ever went for.
Mm, Okay.
One.
What,
Do
what
you know what I
were,
mean?
can you tell us any one that you did, which you maybe really wanted that you didn't get? Like what project it was?
Oh, do you know what? I think I just put them out of my mind.
That's a good skill.
Yeah, I don't think I hang on to that, you know.
Mm,
All I take is that something wasn't working or I wasn't quite expressing the way that I want to be able to
mm,
express. And there's something that I have to keep working on, you know. And eventually I did, and I got, you know. And the funny enough, the one thing, the one audition that I did get, I went in just very natural. Like
yeah.
there was no
Mm,
try hard, there was no
mm,
overthinking it. There was just a kind of chat, casual. Oh,
mm,
I've prepared this, but they wanted to hear a bit of this. Okay, cool, yeah, I'll give it a go, you know. And that was actually the audition that I ended up getting.
yeah.
And I think, I, I just think inevitably you might get some no's for whatever you're
Yeah.
doing along the way. You're going to get some no's
Yeah.
for whatever reason, a multitude of reasons. And the trick is to try not to take it personally,
Yeah.
but know that it's important. So if someone gives you a no, try and find out why,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and then don't sort of, if you're gonna just give yourself a day to sort of bury yourself under the duvet, that's fine. Don't take
Mhm.
that on for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
because those things we tend to sometimes keep hold of them, and you know, get shot of it, take what you need to learn from it,
Mhm.
and choose whether you want to, you know, either agree with them or not, you know, and change it or
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
And I think that just taking it personally and emotionally as creatives, again, it kind of goes hand in
Yeah,
hand.
without a doubt. Without a doubt. I appreciate how painful that can be, whether you're doing your own original creative stuff or even
Yeah.
just working on somebody else's project. You want it to be loved. And so if it's not, it's kind of like, oh, but what's wrong with me? And as
Exactly.
creators, you got to be able to overcome doubt all the time. You have to overcome
All the time.
challenges.
And Otty, also take responsibility. You might
Yeah,
not have been good enough that day.
yeah,
You might
yeah,
not
yeah.
have been, you might not have been on the best game. You might have made a mistake. You might not have prepared enough.
100%.
You've got to come, you know, take responsibility for some of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I think, yeah, there's a lot of road bumps along the way.
Mm,
And there will continue to be. You know, my
yeah,
career is far from over, and
yeah,
every day
yeah.
brings new challenges, right? So
Yeah. New
it's just
challenges, and I'm gonna assume, Izzy, for you as well, some embarrassing things as well, because you see, I know you as a clumsy person. For example, I remember we did when we were in Lake Tahoe. Yes, when we were in Lake Tahoe, and every meal that we had, half of it ended up on your clothes. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And she's like, I don't know. I can't eat a meal without staining my clothes. So I know you as a clumsy person. So
no,
if
that's
that
so
carries
good.
over to stage, what kind of embarrassing things maybe has happened to you, whether even if it's just forgetting lyrics or tripping up on the stairs on the way up, what was happened to you?
I first of all, I'm so annoyed that you brought that up. And
We got to be
Jaya
smart.
Moore, Jaya Moore,
Yeah.
my partner is going to be laughing at this, because you and he have the same thought process about me and food, and it's so annoying.
Is it wrong though? Is it wrong though? I just said you got to take responsibility. As you said it yourself.
It's so wrong. And actually, you know, him and I were in the studio the other day. We're creating a new cover, by the way. You need to watch the space. It sounds amazing already. He's
Fantastic.
ridiculous. But we're trying to film a lot of our recording streams, our recording sessions,
Yeah.
so that we can compile a little bit of a
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
how we
Make
made
it up.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a white jumper on that particular day, and we're in the studio. We just shoved some easy food in the microwave. I think I was like, oh, I'll just grab a jacket potatoes. So we did it. I had some beans or whatever. Put this plate of things together. Obviously, put it on myself. So he's like, you do realize that's going to be in the middle of this video. The entire this entire session is just like, you know, a jumper.
Oh gosh.
Oh, it's so annoying that you brought this up, but very true. Um, in terms of embarrassing moments, yeah. Do you know what? I've had a few, there's a bit of a gross one. I don't know if I'm allowed to go gross. Can I go a bit gross?
Come on. Why not?
All right, fine. So there was one particular event that I was singing at, and the organizer, you know, we got fed or whatever. But just as I finished my last mouthful, they were like, "Oh, you've got to go on now." So I went on stage and tried to start, you know, put the hat on of performer and start singing, and I kind of threw up a little bit in my own
Oh
mouth.
gosh, lovely.
It's so
Lovely.
great.
I wonder what that note came out like.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Actually, do you know what, Otty? I found something recently. I went through some like online clips that I found of certain gigs or tours or whatever I've done. And last week I found this particular video. This is a note, by the way, a note to anybody in this industry, in this world. Everybody has a camera phone.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has a camera phone. At any point when you're on stage, you are on show. Whether the if the show isn't being recorded, that doesn't mean you're not being recorded. Just note to self. But yeah, I was going through this clip of this of one of the Trevor Horn shows actually, and we were singing "Money for Nothing," I think, with these incredible session guys, and some of the band are actually were playing with Dire Straits before, so this song sounds just amazing. And anyway, I just kind of let loose on stage, obviously like I do with when I'm eating, and there's a point where this guy has basically filmed the whole show and put it all online, and he zoomed in. He zoomed into the BV section, and just at that moment, I decided to spin around and just sort of doing this crazy wiggle, and it's just me like face in the back, just shaking, and probably not really in time either, if I'm
Oh,
honest.
dear.
It's just like it's mortifying because he kind of just panned around and zoomed in just at this moment. And it's all over YouTube. And I was like, what was I thinking? Like, where's my cool? There's no cool when it comes to me just enjoying music. It
Hey,
just all goes
when
straight
the
out the
music
window.
catches you and comes over you, there's nothing you can do. That's the whole point. It's passion.
I was like literal face palm, like, oh, what was I doing?
Oh, that is awesome, Izzy. But hey, thank you so much for being our first guest again. It's been amazing
Woo, woo.
on stage left. Before I let you go, though, please let the people know where can we find you, just in case we want to support you, check out what you're doing, all that good stuff, social media handles. Where can we find you?
Okay, fine. So I'm quite an avid Instagram user, so you can find me on Instagram, and my handle is Izzy Chase UK.
All right.
I also have a website, izzychase.co.uk. And both of these places I'll be posting some information. We touched upon this earlier about I'm compiling some information for people who want to start getting into the industry a little bit like what I do. So keep an eye on those kind of handles for that stuff. You can also search for me on Spotify. The La Speranza song that I mentioned
All right.
earlier will be on there, so you can have a little listen. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of the best way to keep in touch with me.
And where can we find your clips of you singing "I'm Horny"? Tell them.
There is one on Instagram actually. I posted that a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, that's going to be Insta. I do have a show reel, like an eclectic kind of shoving together of things as well that are on my website, so you can go and check that out too.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you, Izzy. I wish you nothing but the best. And by God's grace, this pandemic can end quickly so that we can get back on stage together at some point. And
Please,
to all
please.
the listeners, thank you for checking out episode 1 of Stage Left. Join us in a week for another special edition with another special guest. It is going to be amazing. But thank you. Thank you so much, Izzy.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me. Thank you.
No worries. Take care.